Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have some men on my channel today for a Father's Day panel. I have Tyreek Moore.
Tyreek Moore, how you doing?
I have Mentarrio Clement. I have Nick Anderson and Haikeem Stokes. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Moore. You can introduce yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Tyreek Moore, originally born in Philadelphia, but raised in South Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, to be specific. Undergrad at Morgan State University, member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Root to the Bros, and the other Greeks out there. And I'm also the author of 3 books. Our most recent is I Am, which addresses police brutality and a lot of what we're seeing currently during the past few months during the uprising. And thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Mentarrio.
You're on mute, Mentarrio.
Yeah, hear me now?
Yes.
All right. How y'all doing? My name is Mentarrio. I'm also by Keys Ali. Here, just enjoying life. I'm a father. I do a little bit of everything for a little bit of everybody. So glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
All right. Nick.
Hey, thank you so much, Queenie, for not only the opportunity of being on this panel, but my name is Nikia Anderson. Most people call me Nick. I've been called Nick ever since I was a child, ever since I can remember. I have memory. And I'm excited to be here and be a part of this. I'm from a little small town called Nashville, Arkansas. For most of you that are familiar with Arkansas, it's about a 20, 30-minute drive from Texas. I was born and raised in a small town, and then most recently I moved to and relocated to Arizona, so that's where I currently reside. I am the author of a self-published book that I recently called From Poverty to Prosperity, The Truth About the Wealth of God's World. And I'm just excited to be able to share. I'm a father of 3 soon-to-be 4 beautiful Black kids, so again, I'm excited to be part of this anything that I can to help out there.
Thank you. Hakeem?
Yes, peace and blessings all. My name is Haikeem Stokes. I'm an author, artist, and a poet from South Philadelphia, born and raised. I'm the author of several books, novels, fiction, nonfiction, and also books of poetry. My last 2 works of heart, as I call them, are Purple Orchard Syndrome, whereas though I interviewed 12 men between the ages of 21 and 71 on their experience of growing up without a father in the household, tells of their trials, tribulations, and their triumphs. And I also did works where I interviewed several women on what was their, basically what was their everyday contact with their fathers as it attributed to the men that they chose in their lives, whether it's guys they had fathers, guys they had children with, or married, or just relationship with. So that's my current work. But as well, I'm happy to be here. Glad to be on this panel. Hope everybody's socially distancing, and glad to see you brothers are in unison and here and doing your thing. And thank you very much, Queenie Clem, for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Okay, first question. How did you feel when you found out that you were going to be a father? Tyreek?
I'll be honest with that. It was a surprise. But then, once you get over like the initial shock of the announcement, that's kind of like when the butterflies start to come. Your heart rate increases. You start getting little hot flashes, and then on the flip side, like you're even more proud. Your mind starts rambling about all the things that you want to do with your child, whether it be a son or a daughter. For me personally, I have a 20-year-old son who's just finished his sophomore year in college. Always gotten good grades. That's the thing I'm most proud of. He's also athletic, but I'm glad that he's one of those kids that I've never had to worry about. Did good in school, respected his elders. So at the end of the day, you know, he's a good kid, and I got nothing but love for that.
All right, thank you. Mentarrio, the same question.
Well, I was scared. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you because I was a young father, so I was just scared to be. I mean, I didn't really have anybody to go to. Everyone that I hung around with was around my age. They didn't have kids, so it was like a first time experience for me.
Can you repeat that? Because
I'm
you went
sorry.
out.
So you can't hear me?
No,
Talking to me?
we didn't hear the last part.
Oh, I was just saying that it's a blessing. You know, it was very, very scary at the beginning, but now it's become a blessing.
Okay, thank you. Nick?
Yeah, I can relate to what Mentarrio said. I was, I went through a gamut of emotions before, just really settling and coming to grips with the fact that I was young at a young age, having a child coming into this world. As a person at that age of 20, being in the world, I was a college student. I wasn't really working. I was working a real small job, just something to kind of pay the bills. But I considered myself to be, kind of the playboy. So, I was still out in the streets, and so having the responsibility of another human being was something that I did not know how I was going to face it. And the fact that my father, my biological father, was absent in my life, there was a lot of things that I went through. But, as Mentarrio mentioned, you figure those things out. Life comes at us in a different way at times, and we have to be just according to how it comes at us. And not only bringing in just a child into this world, but to bring in a Black child into this world, I had to figure out a way. I had to find my way through that whole thing. So those are the emotions I went through.
Haikeem?
Well, my circumstances was I guess my feelings were I was very excited. I was very excited. I was not a newlywed, but I was a husband, so that was new. And several years later, after my wife and I uh, enjoyed one another and enjoyed married life, we said, okay, let's start working on the offspring. So uh, I was very I mean, it was just excitement. It was a lot of nervous anticipation, anxiousness, because there was a lot that I wanted to funnel into a child. There was a lot that I wanted to do with this child to equip them for the world and just everyday life. So I felt that responsibility because I was more so a man child growing up. I'm the eldest of 5 children, so I was already kind of like the running joke was I was like the brother father. So it was like I kind of had the responsibility unofficially, but then here it is. I'm officially going to have that on my shoulders. So it was a lot of nervous excitement, and I was just praying to the Creator that I was going to be ready for the job.
All right. What is manhood to you, Mentarrio?
It's just being a protector, being a provider, being strong. I mean, sometimes you'll have to be weak. Sometimes you'll have your moments of doubt and have your moments of just anxiety and be anxious about it. But at the same time, you have to show strength. Um, Being a father is manhood. being just being that person for everyone. That's how I see manhood. That's my answer to it.
Okay. Nick, same question.
Yeah, I mean, it's being, for me, it's being a role model, being that example to the things that, you know, we don't necessarily know in life. It's being able to have someone that you can go to that's going to provide you with those answers, and to also be the disciplinary. So in my household, being able to provide the strong discipline and structure that's needed to really just bring up child into.
Okay. Hakeem.
What manhood means to me is you definitely have to be responsible. As a person that is a brother that's very responsible for his actions, and for me, it's just taking life seriously. You have to you got to move strategically. You got to move differently when you're a grown man, when you're an adult, and especially a father. I didn't realize that children, actually, when you're in the household with the child, father, boyfriend, whatever the situation is, that child is actually looking to you for everything. I mean, they're looking at the way you walk, the way you talk. I mean, they're listening to the way you talk. They're like your actions, you know, whether good or bad. They're picking up all that. Children are literally like a sponge, you know. And I saw that in my son, how he was. I mean, he was like a mini me, and so I had to really sharpen my blade so I can sharpen his blade even more. So I mean, manhood to me is just it's a very huge responsibility, and you have to step up to the plate with everything. You have to be very recognizant of what you're doing.
Okay, thank you. Tarek?
Well, for me, it's very personal. With, as you can see, like I have on a fraternity shirt, and in my fraternity we have 4 cardinal principles, which are our pillars, and manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. With manhood being first on purpose. That's not just a coincidence. You know, in our belief that that principle is the most important because you can't have the others without it, right? So to be a man means that you're the pillar of your community. That means that you provide the guidance and the protection for your family and your community. You're the example that they follow in order to understand, you know, what's right, what's wrong, et cetera, just like some of the other gentlemen so eloquently put it before me. So, like, for me, that's the summation of what manhood is. It's that you provide the guidance for your community, for your family, and like, you're that leading example. If you do what's right, if you know, hold yourself in high regard and you treat other people well, they're going to follow that example. And on the flip side, you know, if you show a poor example, then my son is going to have a poor example of how to be a man. These young gentlemen who are in my community that see me interact in a negative way, they're going to pick up on that negativity. So if I put out positivity, then that's all that they're going to see. So it ultimately comes down to personal responsibility, because I'm not just responsible for myself, I'm responsible for the people that I interact with and who I influence.
Thank you. Nick, why are fathers so important?
Father is so important is because it starts with that guidance. It starts with the shaping and molding of what a human being is going to be able to put out into society. And so for me, not having necessarily my paternal father in my life, it hindered me from learning a lot of the lessons that I didn't learn until later on in life, when I actually did build that relationship with my father when I got older, to really just reach out to him and build that relationship. So in missing that, I realized that in my journey, I need to make sure that I provided that step-by-step process for my children to be able to understand what is life. Life comes at us silently, it comes at us all kinds of ways, and we have to be able to adapt to the changes that are presented in life. In order to be able to achieve what I consider to be peace. and peace is love. And so it starts with that foundation that you build and shaping what love becomes for that human being, that child of yours.
Okay. Hakeem, why is father so important?
Well, as Tariq said, you know, we are the pillars. We are the backbone. We are, you know, first of all, when a man and a woman come together and create a child, the creator bestows a child to them, you got to have both. You know, you get something from your mother and you get most things from, the father. You know, it's in the DNA. So it's only natural that, fathers are everything. You know, mothers are nurturers and what have you. You get your sympathy and your remorse and things of that nature from a woman. But your father gives you everything. Your father like shows you the way. Your father's the beacon. Your father's the guiding light. You know, so it's and you see it with a lot of unfortunately recent, and I'm sure throughout time, but recently you can see the negative effect that fatherless households have. I mean, a lot of these young men are not responsible. They're not. Some of them aren't worth too much because they didn't have that example. I mean, fathers are the greatest example. So without that example, and you just have one side of it, you got to have that completion. You got to have that equality. And unfortunately, without that, a lot of young brothers lack. A lot of young brothers don't get it on their own. You know, I'm not sure about the other three brothers, but I came up in a fatherless household. So everything I got it on my own. I got it from the streets. I got it from books. I got it from documentaries and things of that nature. So, you know, Cliff Huxtable was a father figure to me. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of brothers like that I looked at. Um, uh, Malik El Shabazz. I mean, it was a lot of brothers that I looked at that were very responsible and very prominent. You know, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, you got to take great examples or take heed from great examples if you want to be a great example.
Okay, thank you. Mentarrio, why are fathers so important?
Sorry about that. I was enjoying listening to everybody. I had got comfortable. But no, to answer that question, I'm gonna say something probably completely different from what you think I'm gonna say. Because your kids need somebody cool to look up to. I mean, with my kids, I have step still, I think what they call them. Their ages are right behind each other. And for my youngest kids, I'm the coolest guy in the room if I do anything. And I like showing that example of me playing certain games or listening to certain music. Sometimes I even go, like I went and downloaded TikTok just to keep up with them and watch what they do. They just need somebody cool to look up to, and I like that. Now, everything your brother said was great and right on, but the most important thing to me is just like, hey, man, having somebody cool to say, that's my dad. That's my dad over there yelling for me at the softball game. That's my dad playing with me on the PlayStation. That's my dad in the library with me. I like it. I love it, and that's my answer.
All right. Tarek?
Well, for me, I'm going to piggyback off Montario's answer, and but more along the lines of like, as far as the father's concerned, like he's the first example. He's the first superhero. So when we're absent, who do our children, our daughters, and our fathers have to look up to? Who they see on television, and who are they going to see? Professional athletes. They're going to see rappers, actors, people of that nature. But if you go around just a circle in his room, you have, authors, you have fathers, you have people who are all different professions, and none of us are athletes. And at the end of the day, we are the best example for them, and not to take anything away from those other professions, but at the end of the day, their only reference to them is what they see on television. And with television, everything is sensationalized. So the moment that something bad happens, it gets played in a continuous cycle. And unfortunately, our children are absorbing that. So if we're in the household, number one, we can turn that TV off. Number two, we can tell them go read a book. And number three, they have that constant example of what a real man and what a real father is. So once those negative things happen on TV with their sports heroes and their favorite actors, we tap them on the shoulder and just like, hey, you see what happened there? This is the mistake that they made. This is what you try to avoid. And then on the flip side, I know you guys, I like saying that word, but on the flip side, when they do something positive, we can just beat them in the head with, we can reinforce it, like how like my frat brother, Malcolm Jenkins that played for the Eagles, he's one of the faces of this, this how we're addressing police brutality in our communities. So those are the things that we'll tap our kids with, like pay attention to that. Don't pay attention to them partying at the club, throwing money up in the air and all that other foolishness. Pay attention to the important things. And that's us also still giving them guidance.
Okay, thank you. Mentarrio, what do you enjoy most about being a father?
Their wins and their losses, like my kids' wins and losses. Like when they win big, that's my favorite part. I can pick them up, we can rejoice, we're gonna get food, we can yell, we can scream, have a good time. But also when something bad happens, if they have a bad grade or if they have a best friend that moves away, like being able to be there and comfort them in that time too. Like that's just my favorite part. The highs and the lows. The middle was fine, but when you have that peak of like winning a championship game, it's just like you see your kid face light up and you there with them. But at the same time, when the kid best friend move away and they just feel like they have no friends, it's like now it's time to be dad and friend until we figure out the situation. And that's my favorite part.
All right. Tarek?
For me, I would say moments kind of like, I'm sorry I keep picking on you, Montario, but you make good points. So what can I do, right? It's moments like that. It's like those, we all have those moments, like we know we got to teach our son how to drive, how to ride a bike, you know, interact with ladies, things of that nature. But it's those little things that you don't anticipate. Like he said, you know, them winning the championship and seeing that genuine excitement. Them getting credit for an academic award that they received, or their name being called, and your entire family yelling and being rambunctious when they receive their high school diploma or eventually their college degree. So it's like those little moments like that where, like a perfect example was like my son, he ran track in high school, and there was one track meet where he ran a personal best. And you know how kids are these days, you know, they'll text you. Sometimes you got to reach out to them first and stuff like that. But like, that was like one of those rare moments where he reached out to me first and he called me and he was just like, I ran my personal best and I placed. So it's like those moments right there, like those are the ones that leave the most lasting impression for me.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, so in humor when I say this, but those moments of failure for me is the best part. And here's the reason why I say that. Because it's in those moments you bring the greatest teaching opportunities to your children. There's no success that comes without failure. And for me, when I see, you know, my child, they try hard at something. For example, my child came up with a solution to a problem at school, but the school didn't accept that problem. And he felt like it was a failure on his behalf. And it was used as a great teaching moment to teach him that there are going to be moments in life where you have a great solution to the problem and it's not accepted. Or there's going to be problems that you're going to face where, you know, you can't see a clear out. But there's a way that you can work through how you adapt to those changes, to those moments of failure. And so those moments of failure allow for the opportunity to be able to teach and grow and to expand with my children. And so those moments are the moments that make me proud, even though there may be disappointment, emotions, and many moments of tears that come as a result of those failures. Out of those moments become growth. So that for me is the most enjoyable part of being a father.
Haikeem?
I would honestly have to say everything. It's been so far, you know, I have a quote unquote rich man's family. So my eldest is my daughter, and my son is the youngest. So it's like just everything that they do, because I was actually there to give them everything, you know, to teach them how to walk, uh, you know, ride a bike, and, you know, speech lessons, and you know, first accomplishment, first day of kindergarten, and things of that nature. So, you know, witnessing all their first, and just seeing the accomplishment of your loins, you know, everything that you put into them, that they actually that they get, and that they actually you know, retain and then put into motion. So that's very rewarding, you know, self-rewarding. But like I always tell them, like, whatever you're doing, you know, it's for you. It's for your betterment. It's not for me. I mean, sure, I smile, I'm proud, I might stick my chest out or whatever, and I'm definitely going to brag about you. But all your accomplishments are for you. It's to make you a better person. It's to make you so that you can be more substantial in life as an adult. Because right now, all this is just, you know, training grounds for you to, you know, one day be an adult, and then you're going to go through this cycle, you know, hopefully of being a parent and a husband and wife. So yeah, I would definitely have to say everything.
Okay. Being the man that you are, name one person that helped you get to where you are today. Hakeem.
My mother, I was raised by a single parent, and that was my mother. You know, she gave me as much as she could um, to usher me into manhood. And like I said, I found trial and and things that I went through growing up, trying to figure it out on my own, and trying to go to different sources and what have you. But I would definitely have to attribute all my positive attributes to my mother and to the Creator. So it is definitely a blessing.
Okay. Tarek.
For me, just like Hakeem pointed out, for me, from day to day, it was my mother. But if we're talking about like from a male perspective, it's a collection of people. So it goes in line with that. It takes a village to raise a child philosophy. So, you know, I had older cousins, even though I was raised an only child. I had countless of male cousins that I looked up to. And then, you know, I played sports, you know, growing up. So I had coaches who mentored me and made sure I was headed in the right direction. Then, you know, as I got older, you know, I developed certain relationships and bonds with some of my educators that while I was in school. So, you know, it was a collective effort, and I had to basically put all my experiences together with all these different people, and they pretty much have all contributed to like the recipe that ultimately, you know, created, you know, Terror.
Okay. Mentarrio.
Man, I think all these answers gonna be about this. I'm gonna say this is a collective of people. I can't put it on one person. I can't say it's one particular person. But it's just different points throughout my life where there are people that stepped in and helped guide the way. So I don't want to give one person too much time. You know, moms, of course, but it's been a collective of people that's always just stepping up, being mentors, even when they don't even know they're being mentors. They're showing me what's right and what's wrong. Even people showing me what's wrong help me figure out what's right. So it's a good mix of everybody to be good.
Okay. Nick.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say ditto to all that everyone that spoke before me. You guys made very, very valid points. If I had to point out just one person, I'm gonna single out my grandfather. And the reason why I want to talk about my grandfather is my grandfather, he was the foundation and the backbone of what really taught me what music was. At an early age, when I can think back to super, super young, I would would always follow my grandfather around. And everywhere he went, I went. He used to go to the lawns in the community. And he built a wagon for me to do so. He was a carpenter, he was a painter, he was a mechanic, he did all of things. And he was a gardener as well. And he was a farmer, sharecropper. And so, just following his footsteps, I got to see a little bit of what hard work was. He's the one who instilled those values, those principles of what hard work happens in the. And without his guidance and his leadership and the absence of my real father there, I don't know where I would be today. So I'm going to have to, just say that if my grandfather wasn't in my life and that long, even though he had his own faults, his own struggles, through those pains, I was able to grow through that. So, he influenced me throughout my entire life. Even up to the point where he passed away and made, I like told. But it took a moment where he passed away, he was providing all of his guidance still. It wasn't until recently reflecting on some of those journeys and things he taught, I really realized just the value and gratitude that I owe him for all that he took at the time that he was showing me things in his life.
Do you think today's fathers have it harder, easier, or just different? Tariq?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I know like each generation has its own trials and tribulations. But I have to say that I would say it's unique. It's unique to each father, to each generation, to what's happening in the world. I don't think that any one particular father or generation of fathers can like one up the other, because we all have our own challenges to face. Like specifically, like an example is like with our generation, we have the battle with technology that we have to face with our children. We have to make sure that, sites that they're visiting, apps that they're downloading, make sure they're not being victimized. For gentlemen who have daughters, they need to be aware that, they might be a victim of someone trying to traffic them or, sexually assaulting them. So I have an IT background, so I guess I automatically went to there. That I would just say, like every generation, every father, even intergenerational fathers, have their own unique struggle to overcome. But I would say, generation-wise, I would say our biggest issue is the fight with technology that we have to manage for our children.
Okay. Mentarrio?
I can't say I know the struggle of past fatherhoods when we went around a bunch of like fathers, I guess you would say. So I'm gonna say that my generation would be a whole lot easier, just because, like you said, with technology, where there's a social media app, there's a parenting app that goes hand in hand. So there's a lot of cool things out there now where my phone's sitting in front of me and I can turn off everyone's device. So I find it very easy to parent technology and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of young myself. I'm only 30, and I'm still growing with my kids. So as they're learning cool stuff, they just don't know. They're basically telling me what to go look for, what to go look. And when I go look for something, I find something else, and I pass the word along. So they're helping me. They telling on themselves. So that's very easy for me to figure that at this point in life. Now, when they get older, it may change. None of my kids are teenagers yet. When they get older, it may change, but I'm right there with them. And everything that grows, I'm trying to figure it out too.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, so and my answer is going to be a little bit different from what everyone else has presented because of the unknown. What I mean by that, there are future generations that are going to have to venture into the unknown. Who would have imagined that in 2020 we'd be in the place that we're in right now with what's going on with us, right? And to think that the generation before us, we would think that they have made headway. If we look at the great leaders of the time, and the men and the fathers that are before us, we would think that a lot of headway was made. We've seen it from our unit of family being broken to coming back together to seeing it trying to be broken again. And just understanding that cycle itself the future is scary. The generation we have right now, it's very scary. So I would say that our future generations are going to be the ones that are going to have to face a lot of the unknown. Right now, we're paving the way for what the future happens to be. And what we do step by step, day by day, tends to shape what that's going to be. So I would say we've got a lot of responsibility, a lot of load to carry when it comes to what the future is going to be.
Okay, thank you. Hakeem,
Can you repeat the question?
do you think today's fathers have it harder, easier, or just different? Different.
Um, yeah, I guess I would probably have to say different. As the brother said before, that every generation has their unique quirks or challenges that they have to deal with, that they have to face, and that they have to try to find solutions for. So yeah, I would definitely say it's different. But I would it's just a challenge being a father, period. You're going to come across so many things. Like I said, I have a daughter, so it's kind of off topic, but just trying to talk to her about young guys, trying to talk to her about teenagers. She's a senior in high school, and it's just I'm old school, so I'm like, you got to bring a brother home. I have to meet the brother. You know what I mean? Before you want to so-called call him your boyfriend or friend or what have you, I have to meet him. I have to let him know where you come from. Let him know that you have, backup. There is a Great Dane that is waiting on the doorstep for you. So, uh, you got to be together, and let her know that you're doing great things and you're accomplishing things and you're young. So have a standard. Don't go below your standard. You got to have a criteria, because you don't want to be all the way up here and just accept something that's down there. And people say, oh, that's not good. That's not good teaching. I'm like, well, that might not be good teaching for your daughter, but that's excellent teaching for my daughter. Because there's a lot of things that I'm trying to cultivate within her. So I don't want someone tearing her down. Now, as they say, well, oh, she's in corporate and she meets a guy that's a janitor. What you saying she shouldn't deal with it? No, I'm saying if that brother's got a great work ethic and he's willing to take care of her, provide for her, protect her, and be a real man, a stand-up gentleman, and have chivalry and things of that nature, she can count on him, because it's not always about finances, and economics. But if he can do all that and be a real man, then yes. But just accepting him for the physical attributes, and which is usually what happens, and nothing else happens in a relationship, then no, that's not the kind of thing you have to do. So there's things I have to pour into her, and then different things that I have to pour into my son. So, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. So those are the challenges, the kind of like the secret wars that a lot of folks don't see when you're a father, especially when you're hands-on or in the household day to day. A lot of people don't see that. There is a war out there. Shaitan is trying to devour your children. It starts with the children. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to devour your children at every turn. So we as men, we as fathers, we as husbands or what have to be their ultimate protectors.
What do you feel is your role as a father, Nick?
So I think the role of a father is a role of all. I mean, you've got to be passionate. You've got to be a teacher, a disciplinary. You've got a lot of different hats that you have to put. You've got to step in and be a peer at times when they're facing the issues that they're facing. You've got to be a mentor. You've got to be a great listener, most importantly. You have to be able to pick up on the signs that are happening with your children. You have to be a great communicator when it comes to your children. There is a lost gift of communication with the generation that we're in right now. I see a wide range of it because I've got a 15-year-old and I've got a 1-year-old that's walking around right now, right? So communication element is just lost in the generation. You have to be a great listener. You have to be able to ask them questions, listen for those responses, feel the emotions that they're giving back to you, and then show compassion for the things that they're facing. We face something different from what they're facing. And even though we can tell them 100 times that, hey, I've been down a road that's similar to that, they're going to still make the decision. So you also have to be compassionate and understand that you're not going to be able to influence every single decision that they make. They're going to make mistakes, and you have to have mercy on them when they make those mistakes. So I would say the role you got to have a little bit of responsibility on all of the roles that are out there.
Thank you. Tarek?
For me, like there's a lot of roles for fathers, but I'm gonna touch on one specifically that pertains to, especially to our generation, and that being, sometimes you have to be the bad guy. You have to be the disciplinarian. You have to let your children know that I'm your father. I'm not your friend. I'm not here to be buddy-buddy with you. I'm here to make sure that you're okay, make sure you're safe, and to prepare you for adulthood. And sometimes that's going to take me being hard on you. Sometimes that's going to take me speaking to you like an adult. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm cursing you out or I'm being verbally abusive. But every once in a while, you have to have like that sit down, come to Jesus meeting, kind of like when Black men have the talk with their son. It's not a loose conversation. It's not a funny conversation. I'm not trying to make you laugh. I'm letting you know, and I'm preparing you for adulthood and how to survive being a Black man in this country. So, I mean, obviously we have more conversations than that, but that's the one that everyone is familiar with. So I wanted to use that as an example, but I wanted to drive home that a lot of times, especially in our generation, we get caught up trying to be our kids' buddies and their friends, and we want to be the cool parent. And I'm not about that. My son knows that I'm extremely serious. He knows that I love him, but he also knows that I'm not here to be his friend. I'm here to prepare him to be an adult, to be a responsible adult, to contribute to society, and not to be a burden on society, and to also stand on his own 2 feet when someone challenges him, and for him to stand up and be a man, and not to live on his knees. So that's one part that I just want to drive home, because we've kind of gotten to that point where we want to be cool to our kids instead of being their parents.
Mentarrio?
I want to be cool to my kid. I'm gonna say that. I mean, that's just me. My kids are young. There's a lot of people that's up in front of their faces with diamond chains and gold grills and fast cars. And hey, man, you don't need all that. This is what you need. So, what's the question one more time, though?
What do you feel is your role as a father?
An example, just to be an example. Like I was just saying, they see all of this stuff all day, every day, and you can control some of it, some you can't. They're talking to their friends, they're visiting their friends and family and stuff like that. You can't control everything. What you can control is what you show them and how you are in front of them, right and wrong. Even if you make a mistake in front of them, being able to go back and say, I did wrong, and this is what you're supposed to do right, and going forward, we are going to do what's right. So just being a role model is the most important thing for me. And being cool. And being cool. The role model most important.
All right, Haikeem?
Yeah, I think you just have to be a utility person. You have to be all things. You have to be very versatile as a father. You just have to be there and put out all the small fires and hopefully be able to put out the infernos as well. But yeah, I definitely believe that you have to be everything, as much as you can possibly be, and that's why you have to keep your blade sharpened. A lot of people just kind of just try to coast through, but you have to periodically re-educate yourself as well. like the brother was saying, technology, and the other brother was saying, sports and things of that nature. And the other brother was saying, with the literature and things of that nature, you definitely have to, reaffirm yourself with everything, because everything is in a cycle. So, as I said, I'm old school, but I also have a lot of new school in me as well. So, just enough to keep up with them. So you definitely have to be all things to your child as much as you possibly
Okay, last question. What was the fondest memory of your father? Nick?
can. I think he's muted.
Nick? He ain't paying attention. Terry, go ahead.
All right, I'll bump for Nick until he gets back. For me, I would say my sophomore year in college, I was playing football, and my dad traveled up to like watch me play at a game. And he hadn't seen me play football in a while because I actually skipped playing in high school. So like the last time he saw me play was like Pop Warner when I was like still a kid, and we couldn't catch and that type of stuff. So like yeah, so that was like one of the most memorable moments, and partly because I had a bad game and I dropped a pass, and he and I had one of those father-son moments where he put his arm around me and he left my mom somewhere else so that we could talk like guys, and like he gave me some guidance, he gave me some pointers because I got my athletic ability from him. So it was like that was like one of those moments where I was just like, because at that point I was about 18, maybe going on 19, and when you're that age, you think you have it all under control. I'm just like Dad, you just came up to watch me play football. I honestly know what I'm doing, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I actually still needed guidance from my parents, and particularly from my father. So that's one of the more fonder moments.
Okay. Nick, can you hear us?
Yeah, I lost audio for a second. Can you repeat the question?
What was your fondest memory of your father?
So, fondest memory of my father, I'll take one when I was an adult, and this moment was a moment where I learned where my stubbornness came from, which is why I think it's so important and vital that, especially male children, they really need their father in their life to provide a lot of those examples and a lot of those lessons. And so that's one of the reasons why it was so vital for me to, in my adulthood, I took my kids around my father to show them and to bridge that gap. But that's where I learned where my stubbornness came from. Was one time I was down in the country, in a town called Ozan, Arkansas, population 69. That's if you include some of the cows and dogs as well. So I'm there, and my uncle, who has at this point stage 4 cancer, and my father are arguing. They both have the same exact point. Now, mind you, my son also there. Now, this is at the time my oldest son. He's there with us riding his bike. They're arguing and having the same exact point, but my father was thrilled to concede that he had the same point because my uncle was making the point in a different manner. And it was in that moment of reflection when I started to see myself. I could put that mirror up and see who I was and where a lot of the behaviors and a lot of the things that I had portrayed out on other people in relationships and friendships and just, different ways I started to see where that came from. It was a really an awakening that I really needed. And so that's one of the most fondest memories that I have, from my and that I can think of from my adulthood.
Thank you. Mentarrio?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Fondest memory will have to be, and my dad had this old Mustang that was in the backyard. It was a Mustang Cobra. It was white, I think with like white and red interior, and it just sat in the backyard. I knew it was his car, and he would come back there and just tell me like different things that he did in the car. I thought it was just always cool to just sit in the car. It would be days it was like 90 degrees outside. The car didn't have a battery in it. He would still pop the door open and just sit in the car and be like, "This is my dad's car. This is the coolest car in the world." So then when I got older, I ended up having 2 Mustangs just based off of that memory and that time with my dad. Cause I got a Ford tattoo for crying out loud. Like I just love that moment of being with my dad in his Mustang. It just stayed with me my whole life.
Okay, Hakeem.
Sad to say, I don't have too many fond memories of my father. Like I said, he wasn't in my household. So I guess, kind of piggybacking on that, we just recently had a long drawn out conversation, very candid conversation. And I read him the riot act, as far as like, failing as a father. And he actually apologized. So I guess that would be the fondest moment I have, or memory I have of my father. Just actually meaningfully and sincerely apologizing for failing as a father, not being there, not giving me what I needed for manhood, for adulthood, or for anything. So I would have just kind of gravitated towards that because unfortunately there's nothing else.
Okay. Do anybody want to do a shout out for their children? Shout out your children.
I didn't hear the question.
Do you want to shout out any of your children?
I think we all want to do that.
Yeah, we have to brag. If you give us a ton of time today, I know we can all sit here and brag about all of our kids. But I'll name my kids first and just give them all a shout out. My 15-year-old was Terrence Anderson. That's my firstborn. My secondborn is Eli Anderson. And then, of course, this recent addition is Leah, and she's 1 year old. Glad I mentioned the age of my second. He's 9 years old. And then, of course, I've got another son, Noah, who, Lord willing, I will have. Yeah.
Okay.
Those are my kids.
Okay.
Shout out my kids, the Clement clan. I know they're probably going to watch this because they always somehow find a way to see when I do stuff like this. So when you guys see this, first off, you probably shouldn't be watching, and second off, I love you all.
Okay. You don't want to shout their names out?
No, I don't want to shout their names.
Okay.
I'll shout mine out. So
Okay.
my son Jason, he's he just finished his sophomore year at Illinois State University, studying broadcast communications. His aspiration is to be the next Stephen A. Smith. So we're rooting for you, bro. Keep studying, keep working hard. Don't be a jerk like Stephen A. be Stephen A. 2.0. But your family loves you, your father loves you, and we'll see you soon.
All right, Hakeem.
Yeah, I definitely would give a soul shout to my daughter. I can't thank you enough for making me a proud father. Everything that you do, everything that you are is just truly wondrous to me. Your work ethic, your accomplishments, challenges that you face down and conquered. That's that's very astonishing to me. To see the young woman that you are, and hopefully, God willing, the woman that you're going to grow into is just amazing to me. And to my father, my son Nas, he just fills me with pride, and he's the epitome of the good son. He's everything I wanted to be as a son, as a young man, and more. And his accomplishment, he's accomplished so many things in his young life, and I just see him being uh, much more greater, probably beyond his wits, but probably beyond his imagination. He has so many gifts and jewels that he actually feeds in me every day. So like I said, still sharpens steel. So we go back and forth, and I love the fact that through his intelligence, even though he's only 13, he and I have great conversations, and with his intelligence, it's just mind blowing that he can talk, speak on the level, and comprehend on the level that he does. So I look forward to seeing great things from him as well as he grows into a man. So blessings to the Creator for bestowing such wonderful children to me and my wife.
Okay. Is there anything anybody would like to say before we close?
Just one thing that I would like to add is that I would not and cannot be the man that I am without my children. My children have shaped my journey in such a way that has been just a blessing to me. And again, I think every day that I wake up, every day before I go to bed, I thank the Almighty for blessings, bestowing upon me the blessings of being able to be a father. And, and Lord willing, again, the blessing of becoming a father yet again, because it has shaped my journey in such a way that it has really turned me from being in the hands of the enemy to understanding what the true meaning of love and what courage it is to be a man in the sight of Almighty for his blessings he's bestowed upon me. So again, I'm just thankful to be able to have kids in this world and for the shaping of the family that they provide.
All right. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say thank you for this opportunity, Queen Clem, and thank you to the brother Nick Anderson. I didn't know you was gonna have a celebrity on the panel. You used to play for the Clippers, brother.
Orlando Magic.
And all right, see, I didn't know we was gonna have a celebrity. I wasn't prepared, And we got the brother, the Q Dog in the house, and the Ford Explorer cat, So, but on this panel with you three brothers, y'all were very insightful, very knowledgeable, and everything that y'all brought to the table was wonderful. Definitely jewels that would drop in my soul, and definitely will be reaching out to you brothers afterwards. So when you see a friend request from Haikeem Stokes, please don't shun me, don't delete me, please accept the brother. I like to connect with y'all and definitely get some other things going. I think us four can definitely do some great things in the future. So shout out to you, Tariq, Montario, and Nick, and Queen. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all. Please, 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 socially distance. We can get through this. Please, socially distance and make sure your family socially distance, because this COVID-19 is no joke, and I would love to see y'all brothers in the future. So blessings upon you all.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Brother Stokes.
And likewise, man. Again, this is another part of a blessing, man. You guys I've learned a lot from you, man, and I look forward to learning. We should do more of this, man. These things, we can't get enough people like ourselves together and do these types of things, man. This has been great.
Thank you for the invite. Nice meeting you guys. If you send the invite out, hit accept. And y'all just take care and stay safe out there, man.
Okay. Okay. I would like to thank everyone, Tariq, Nick, Haikeem, and Mentarrio, for coming in today. I really appreciate it very, very much. And happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, this is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.